There is a quiet moment before anything changes. A moment so still it is often missed. Nothing outside moves, no signs appear, no proof arrives. Yet in that moment, something decisive happens within. A person stops waiting. They stop arguing with life. They stop asking for permission. And without any visible effort, they agree inwardly that what they once desired is already true. This agreement is not loud, it does not announce itself, but it is final. From this moment on, life begins to move not because it was persuaded, but because it has no other option. Most people believe life changes first and feelings follow. They think peace comes after success, confidence after achievement, freedom after conditions improve. But life does not work this way. Life always follows identity. It follows what a person quietly assumes about who they are and what is normal for them. Not what they hope for, not what they repeat with their lips, but what they accept as true when they are alone with their thoughts. Assumption is not wishing. It is not imagination used as escape. It is not pretending or acting in a forced way. Assumption is agreement. It is the silent decision that something is settled. When something is settled within, it stops demanding attention. It no longer creates urgency. It no longer produces anxiety. It simply becomes part of how a person sees the world and themselves within it. Life responds to this settled state with precision, not quickly or slowly, but faithfully. It rearranges circumstances, conversations, timing, and opportunity to reflect the inner agreement. This is not because life has emotions or preferences, but because life functions as a mirror. A mirror does not choose what to reflect, it reflects what stands before it. Most struggle comes from trying to change the reflection without changing the one who stands before the mirror. A person may try harder, plan more, repeat hopeful words, or wait patiently, yet nothing changes. This is not because life is unfair, but because the inner position remains the same. Waiting itself is a position. It quietly says, "I do not have this yet." Life hears that clearly and continues to reflect it. Effort does not move life. Words do not move life. Time does not move life. Inner agreement does. When someone assumes something is done, they are no longer reaching for it. They are no longer leaning toward the future. They return to the present with a sense of completion. This does not create excitement, it creates calm. Calm is the signal of fulfillment. Anxiety is the signal of lack. Life responds to the dominant signal, not the spoken desire. Identity is the center of this entire process. Identity is not a label or a role. It is the answer to the quiet question, what kind of person am I? A person who sees themselves as always struggling will meet struggle in many forms. A person who sees themselves as supported will notice support appearing without effort. A person who assumes they are valued will encounter respect naturally, even without asking for it. Life does not test whether these assumptions are deserved. It does not measure fairness. It reflects them. This is why trying to force outcomes feels exhausting. Force comes from separation. It assumes the desired state is elsewhere, later, or conditional. Assumption removes distance. It places fulfillment in the present, not as an event, but as an identity. The moment identity shifts, behavior follows naturally. Choices change. Tone changes, attention changes, not because of discipline, but because the inner position has moved. Many people misunderstand acting as if. They believe it means copying external behavior or pretending confidence while feeling uncertain. That is not acting as if. That is acting against oneself. True acting as if happens inwardly first. It is not something others can always see. It is a change in inner dialogue, a change in expectation, a change in what feels normal. When someone acts as if from the inside, they do not rush, they do not chase, they do not demand proof. They move through life with a quiet sense that things are already handled. This is not carelessness, it is trust without tension. Time plays a strange role here. When someone is waiting, time feels heavy. Days feel long, delays feel personal. But when someone assumes the end, time loosens its grip. There is patience without effort. Waiting disappears because there is nothing left to wait for. Life then uses time as a tool, not a barrier. Events unfold in a natural order, without strain. This is why impatience blocks change. Impatience is not about time, it is about identity. It reveals that the person still sees themselves as separate from what they desire. Life continues to reflect that separation until it dissolves. Inner alignment does not require belief in ideas or systems. It requires honesty. A person must notice what they truly accept as real, not what they want to accept, but what feels settled. This honesty is not judgment, it is awareness, and awareness is enough to begin change. Once a person notices their inner position, they can gently shift it, not through force, but through agreement, through choosing a new inner story and remaining loyal to it without argument. This loyalty is quiet. It does not debate appearances. It does not react to temporary contradictions. It rests. Life responds to rest more than effort. This does not mean challenges disappear immediately. Old patterns may surface. Familiar circumstances may repeat for a time. This is not failure. It is momentum completing its course. A new assumption does not fight the old one. It replaces it. The outer world adjusts as the inner agreement stabilizes. Those who understand this do not become passive, they become centered. Their actions arise naturally from their state, not from fear or urgency. They do what feels obvious, not what feels desperate. And because of this, their actions carry a different quality. They are timely, they are effective, they are unforced. Life recognizes this quality instantly. To assume something is done is not to demand that reality obey. It is to stop contradicting it. When inner conflict ends, outer conflict loses its purpose. The world no longer needs to reflect struggle when struggle is no longer assumed. This is not a promise. It is a pattern that has always been operating. Every current condition in a person's life is the result of assumptions once held, often unconsciously. The same law that created the present will shape the future, not through hope, but through identity. In the next part, this understanding will deepen, moving further into how patience, faithfulness to the unseen, and inner consistency quietly shape outcomes without strain or force. When a new inner agreement is made, it does not announce itself to the world. It settles quietly, like a deep breath that reaches places effort never could. From the outside, nothing may appear different. The same streets exist, the same people remain, the same responsibilities wait. Yet inwardly, a subtle shift has occurred. The person is no longer leaning forward into life, hoping it will catch up. They are standing still within themselves, and life begins to move towards them instead. This is where many lose their way. They look outward too soon. They check the mirror repeatedly, asking if the reflection has changed yet. In doing so, they unknowingly step back into the old position of waiting. The inner agreement weakens, not because it was wrong, but because attention left it. Assumption requires loyalty, not vigilance. It does not need to be guarded anxiously. It needs to be lived quietly. Life responds to what is stable. Fleeting thoughts have little power. Emotional spikes fade quickly. What shapes reality is the state a person returns to again and again, especially in moments of silence. That state becomes home, and whatever feels like home begins to define what is allowed to enter experience. This is why persistence is not repetition of words, it is repeated return. Return to the same inner knowing after distraction. Return after doubt. Return after disappointment. Each return strengthens the assumption, not through force, but through familiarity. Over time, the new state stops feeling new. It becomes ordinary. And when something feels ordinary, life treats it as normal. Normal is the strongest command a person ever gives to life. Many believe they must feel joyful or excited to be aligned. This is a misunderstanding. Fulfillment is not loud, it is quiet. It does not rush. It does not argue. It does not seek reassurance. The feeling of completion is closer to relief than celebration. It is the absence of tension, the absence of mental reaching. When this feeling becomes familiar, it communicates clearly to life that the matter is settled. Life does not ask questions when something is settled. Doubt often arises not because the new assumption is weak, but because the old identity is dissolving. Old patterns do not leave silently. They seek confirmation. They bring up memories. They point to appearances. This is not a test. It is momentum. And momentum fades when it is no longer fed. Reaction feeds momentum. Calm starves it. When someone reacts emotionally to unwanted appearances, they renew agreement with them. Life reads reaction as interest, but when someone remains inwardly aligned, appearances lose meaning. They become temporary noise rather than evidence. Life then has space to reorganize without resistance. This reorganization does not follow human logic. It does not move in straight lines. It works through timing, connection, and sequence in ways that cannot be predicted. This is why focusing on how something will happen only creates interference. The how belongs to life. The who belongs to the individual. Identity sets direction. Life fills in the details. When someone assumes a new identity, they do not need to control events. Control is a sign of distrust. Trust is not passive, it is grounded. It allows movement without micromanagement. It allows action without anxiety. Actions taken from trust feel lighter. They feel appropriate. They feel timely. This is why two people can take similar actions and receive different results. The action is not the cause. The state behind it is. Time itself bends to inner certainty. When someone is certain inwardly, delays do not feel threatening. They feel irrelevant. This neutrality removes resistance, and where resistance ends, movement accelerates. Often what seemed slow suddenly resolves quickly, not because time changed, but because opposition disappeared. Patience, in this sense, is not endurance, it is agreement. It is the refusal to treat the present moment as a problem. When the present is no longer treated as a problem, it becomes cooperative. Life does not need to be pushed, it needs to be permitted. This permission is given through identity. A person who sees themselves as someone who receives easily will notice ease appearing. A person who assumes struggle will find meaning in struggle. Life is not cruel, it is precise. There is no punishment in this system, there is only reflection. This understanding removes blame. It also removes excuses. Nothing needs to be fixed outside. Nothing needs to be fought. The work, if it can be called work at all, happens inwardly and gently. It is the willingness to let go of an old self-image and remain with a new one long enough for it to feel natural. Naturalness is the threshold where manifestation becomes inevitable. In the next part, this will unfold further, showing how inner agreement reshapes relationships, circumstances, and perception itself, and why life ultimately has no alternative but to conform to what is consistently assumed within. As the inner state stabilizes, something subtle but important begins to happen. The world does not change all at once, yet it no longer feels solid in the same way. Situations that once seemed fixed begin to soften. Conversations take different turns. Opportunities appear without being hunted. None of this feels dramatic. It feels ordinary, almost unremarkable. And that is precisely the sign that the assumption has taken root. Life does not announce its obedience. It simply adjusts. Relationships are often the first place where this is noticed. When a person no longer seeks validation, they stop broadcasting need. When they no longer expect rejection, they stop interpreting neutral behavior as dismissal. Without effort, their presence changes. People respond differently, not because they were convinced, but because they are reacting to a different inner signal. Life uses people as mirrors, just as it uses circumstances. A person who assumes they are respected will not try to demand respect. They will not correct others or defend themselves constantly. Their calm certainty does the work for them. Others feel this without understanding it. Behavior shifts naturally. This is not manipulation, it is alignment. The same applies to abundance, health, creativity, and peace. When these states are assumed internally, decisions begin to flow from them. A person who assumes abundance does not obsess over outcomes. They make choices from sufficiency, not fear. A person who assumes well-being listens to their body differently. A person who assumes clarity stops forcing answers and allows insight to arise. Nothing is added, something is removed, the strain. This is why effort often feels heavy. It carries the belief that something is missing. Assumption removes that belief. When the sense of lack dissolves, energy becomes available. Focus sharpens. Perception clears. Life feels cooperative rather than resistant. Perception itself changes under assumption. The same events are interpreted differently. What once felt like obstacles now feel like redirection. What once felt like delay now feels like timing. This is not positive thinking. It is grounded interpretation based on inner agreement. Life responds to interpretation as much as to action. When a person interprets life as supportive, they notice support. When they interpret life as hostile, they notice threat. Neither interpretation changes life itself. It changes what is reflected. This is why two people can experience the same event and walk away with completely different outcomes. Their inner states select different meanings, and meaning directs experience. Assumption also changes what a person tolerates. When someone assumes a new identity, certain conditions simply no longer feel acceptable, not because of anger, but because of mismatch. They drift away without conflict. New environments appear without effort. This is alignment expressing itself quietly. There is no need to cut ties forcefully or make declarations. Movement happens naturally when identity changes. Many fear that letting go of effort means losing control. In truth, control was never present. Life was always responding to inner direction. Conscious assumption simply replaces unconscious repetition. It brings clarity where habit once ruled. This clarity does not eliminate uncertainty. It removes fear of uncertainty. When a person trusts their inner position, they are not disturbed by what they cannot yet see. They do not demand immediate resolution. They remain present, and presence is where life can meet them. Life cannot meet someone who is mentally elsewhere. The future is shaped not by planning, but by consistency of being. A person who consistently returns to the same inner state creates a pattern life must follow, not because life agrees, but because life reflects. This reflection is not always instant, but it is inevitable. Inevitability comes from consistency, not intensity. Gentle persistence shapes more than emotional force ever could. As the assumption continues, the old self becomes unfamiliar. Old reactions feel strange. Old fears feel exaggerated. The person begins to notice that they no longer think the same way. This is the true evidence of change. Outer results are secondary. Inner change is primary. When inner change is complete, outer change has no choice. In the final part, this understanding will come to rest in a calm conclusion, showing why inner agreement is enough, why inevitability replaces effort, and why life, in the end, must always reflect what is quietly and consistently assumed within. When inner agreement becomes steady, life no longer feels like something to manage. It feels like something to move within. The struggle to predict, control, or defend slowly fades, replaced by a quiet confidence that nothing essential is missing. This confidence is not based on circumstances. It exists before circumstances change, and because of that, circumstances must follow. This is the point many overlook. They believe confidence should come after results. Yet confidence born from results is fragile. It depends on continuation. Inner confidence, born from assumption, stands without support. It does not rise and fall with conditions. It remains. Life responds to what remains. When a person lives from this place, they are no longer impressed by appearances. Success does not inflate them. Delay does not discourage them. They understand often without words, that life is unfolding from a deeper level than what the eyes can see. This understanding does not make them detached, it makes them present. They engage fully without clinging. This is inner agreement in its mature form. There is no constant checking, no internal debate, no effort to maintain a feeling. The state maintains itself because it has become identity. At this stage, patience is effortless. Time passes without resistance. The person no longer asks when things will change, because inwardly they already have. Outer change is treated as a formality, not a requirement for peace. This does not make life static. On the contrary, movement increases. Ideas arrive, connections form. Action feels natural rather than forced. Decisions are made without overthinking. The person is not passive, they are aligned.